Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a special episode of Let's Talk today, because today we are not going to be talking about games or talking about why I'm back for the 2 millionth time. Today, we're going to be doing something different today. It's still related to games, but we're going to be doing a tier list today. This is an idea that I've had for a while. It's a topic that I think should be covered more, you know? I think this is a very interesting topic that I don't think a lot of YouTubers do, and it just came up in my mind, and I'm like, well, fuck it, let's make a video on it. And that's what we're going to be doing today. This could technically be its own separate video, but I just want to put in the Let's Talk series because, well, it would just, like, it makes sense, I guess. But yeah, we have this tier list that we're going to be going through today, and we're going to be ranking video game genres. I have about 28 in this tier list, and we're going to be going through every single one. I left out a few that I'm not very experienced in, like, and a few other ones. Like, I probably could include mobile, but, you know, I don't really feel like including it there. And I also didn't include, like erotic/adult, because, well, I haven't played a single one of those games, and I don't want to. And a few other, like, subgenres I didn't include and condensed most of them into one. But besides that, this is about as many as I could brainstorm, as many that I think I could have things to say about it, you know? So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. We have the tiers right here in order. We have Take My Money, which is self-explanatory. If I see a video game and this genre is attached to it, I will be there and my money will be in their pockets no matter how much the game is. We have You Have My Attention, which is I see this genre and I'm like, okay, and I'm interested and most likely will buy your game. You know, you have my attention, I'm intrigued. There might be a few parts of this genre that I don't like that keep it from being an S, but otherwise, I'm still gonna play it. We have Worth a Shot, which are genres which I think are good, genres where I'm interested if I see a game attached to them, but ones that I either think have more misses than hits, or there are parts of the genre that I'm not a big fan of. For whatever reason, they just aren't in the top tiers for me. We have Hit or Miss, which is self-explanatory. These genres are very mishmashy. They can either have some of the greatest stuff or some of the worst stuff, and they just fall into the middle, where I like some games and I hate some games. I like some of the parts that the genre does well, and I hate some of the parts that the genre does badly. We have Meh, which are just genres that I don't really care for, genres that I don't really seek out, genres that I'm not really interested in at all, and am not really, like, hungry to play, really. And then we have I'd Rather Drink Bleach, which are genres that I actively avoid and do not like in the slightest and despise, and I never want to play a single game from them, because even just the thought makes me want to kiss a revolver, basically. So, yeah. So, we have 28 in here. Tier Maker arranged them into random orders. I made this tier list. I'll put the link in the description if you want to do this tier list. Maybe you could add a bit more on here, but yeah, I think we're just gonna get this started off. So we are starting off with platformers. And this is an interesting one to start it off, because for platformers, you know, okay, I think I'm gonna put them in, You Have My Attention. Here's the reason why. I think platformers, if we talk about the games specifically, like, it can go in S tier for sure and Take My Money, because you have Celeste, you have Pizza Tower, you have Super Mario Bros. Wonder, you have, like, a few other ones, like the old Donkey Kong games, Donkey Kong Country, you have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and a few other ones there. And even if you go to, like, the 3D section, you have both of the Galaxy games, Bonanza to an extent, like Bubsy. You even have some of the Kirby games as well, and a few other ones. A Gravity Circuit, that's another really good one. There are some great games in this genre. Very rarely are there misses. There are, of course, misses, you know? Like, there will be misses in all these genres. So, I mean, yeah, like, platformers, when they have misses, they're a bit bigger than, like, most, but still, they're not enough to deter me from the genre. No. The reason why it's not in Take My Money is because the hook of the genre doesn't get me going in the way that others will. because platformers are games that rely on platforming. Of course, jump from platform to platform, might be some cool gimmicks in there, but that hook doesn't excite me in a way that it will excite me with other genres. I hear that hook and I'm like, okay, I mean, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll check it out later. Whereas with other genres, I'm like, holy fuck, it's that? I gotta get this game right now, or wishlist it on Steam, you know? And that's the only reason why it's not in Take My Money, because it's not just quality of the genres. If I hear this genre attached, then I will be buying it no matter what. And I can't say I would do that for platformers, but it's still a very quality genre overall, and one that does really continue to thrive. I mean, this is basically the genre that made video games, because Super Mario Bros, like, it's a very important genre, but not quite S tier for me. So yeah, it's gonna go there. Now we have Sandbox. And this is in a similar boat to platformer. I'm also gonna stick it in You Have My Attention. Sandbox, here, the thing with this one is I have a lot of fun with Sandbox games. Like, you have like Minecraft, Turbo Dismount, a few other ones in there, like Gary's Mod. There are some really good Sandbox games. Sandbox is not really a genre that has a lot of depth to it. You just kind of fuck around in it for a little bit, and then you kind of close off for the day, you know? But that's also why I can't say the genre is S tier for me, because Sandbox is a genre where it's really pick up and then leave for a few months, you know? Like, you can play a Sandbox for an extended period of time, but they're not as exciting as some other genres, with the exception of Gary's Mod, because Gary's Mod is massive, the mods, all that. Turbo Dismount, I love Turbo Dismount, it's my childhood, but that game gets boring quickly, and that's the issue that some sandboxes fall into, where they're not big enough to really draw out your attention and make you want to keep coming back, because when you come back, it's like, well, I guess I could do this or this, but like I've already done these two things before, and I'm just kind of losing interest by that point. So while I do love the genre, and it did shape up a lot of my childhood when it came to video games, I can't say it's in Take My Money, because they get old kind of fast, you know? So I can't quite say it's up there, even if it was a very important genre in my little days. I think all of us had that one Sandbox game that we just fucking adored when we were kids, but yeah, not quite S tier for me. Now we have Open World. And A tier might dominate this list. I'm also going to stick it in You Have My Attention. I want to stick it in Take My Money. It's probably the one that's in this tier. It's the one that's the closest to doing that. But here's the thing with open world games. Of course, yes, you have Dying Light. You have Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You have a few other ones, like, I guess, Elden Ring. I haven't played it yet, but I've heard it's a very good open world game. Or even, like, Bonanza, to an extent. Or Mario Odyssey. I mean, like, there are some really good open world games, a few others that I can't name off the top of my head, that use the genre very well. Sword of the Sea, that's another one. But the issue is that a lot of open world games, some of them are basically just, the world is open for the sake of being open, and not open because it would benefit the game. Some games are just open world, and they don't really need to be, and they're just big, empty, open worlds with fuck all to do in them. It's just like, well, you can walk from there to get to the quest with nothing to do in between, and it's like, that's boring, you know? Like, that doesn't excite me at all. It's exciting when open worlds are big open worlds, and there's quite a bit to do in there, you know? Such as games like Dying Light. And I just think that, because of that, it falls into a trap where this is a genre that really, in all cases, should be in the top tier, but whenever I hear open world, even though I'm still, like, I get really interested when I hear that, I'm not immediately gonna go and buy the game on release date and pre-order it and stuff like I would do for other genres, you know? So it's an unfortunate case where it should be in this tier, but some of the pieces, like some of the games in this genre, kind of make me a bit more skeptical when I hear the name open world. So it's gonna go there, unfortunately. But trust me, I like the games that are in this genre that I do love. I love a lot. I just wish that there was more that were like that. All right, gonna take a sip of water there. Now we have roguelikes. And we're finally getting something that's not in the fucking A tier. Jesus Christ, like, this tier is filled up. I'm gonna stick it in worth a shot. Here's the thing. Roguelikes are like, it's kind of the opposite of what I said for platformers, where the hook of roguelikes is really interesting for me and makes me want to buy it. But the thing with roguelikes is a lot of them fall into the same trap where I play it, I'm really interested in the beginning as I go through the games and see all the different things to do. But then, once you get past that point, you get to this period where you just are in a cycle of death and more death, and there's nothing really interesting or new going on. And by that point, you're really just trying to get to wherever the end goal is in the roguelike, or one of the end goals at least. And that's always what most roguelikes that I play, like, they all fall into that same trap. The biggest example I could give is Inscription. Like, I was loving Inscription for the first 2 hours. I adored it, but after those first 2 hours, it turned from, oh my god, this is so amazing, to, come on, man. I gotta redo the whole thing again. How am I gonna get to the boss now? Like, the final boss. And it's really unfortunate, because, like I said, I think that the concept for this genre is amazing, but in practice, the more that I play it, the more I just grow bored and tired of it, and then eventually I'm just like, well, like, what am I supposed to do here now? There is one big roguelike that I have not played yet, and that is Dead Cells, which I've debated on, but I think I'm finally going to take a plunge. I have it in my cart. I'm probably going to get in the summer sale, and maybe that'll, like, change my opinion on them. But for me, roguelikes, like, they're worth a shot. They're the definition of worth a shot. Like, that's even ignoring that there are some really bad roguelikes out there. I am sure of it. Ones that just utilize the genre in a terrible way, because it's a very hard genre to get right. You need to account for a lot more things, you know? Make it balanced, make sure there's a lot of new things to explore that'll keep your player interested in playing it, you know? It's a hard balance to find. Some games find it. It's really just the overall concept leads to fatigue for me, I guess. When I play Dead Cells, well, it might still stay in this tier, but maybe it'll get me a little more interested in the roguelike genre, because maybe I should play more of them, is what I'm saying. Because in fairness, there are definitely about half of these games that I have not played in the roguelike genre. And if I played them, maybe my opinion would change, but for now it's going to stay there. We'll see what happens in the future, though. Now we have Bullet Hell. And oh boy, alright. This one's going to be interesting, because there are a lot of people that really love this genre. And I'm not one of them. I understand the appeal. I think that bullet hells are a neat, niche little concept. I think they're a neat concept, but I've just never really enjoyed playing bullet hell games. I've never really found the gameplay to be overly engaging. And they have never been games where when I hear that tagline, I'm interested in. In fact, if I hear that tagline, I'm actually less interested in the game. Like, I remember there was this one really cool, like, Beat Saber-esque style game, at least in the style of Beat Saber, that looked really cool. It was in the Game Awards. It was announced there. And I went to the Steam page, and I'm like, I can't wait to wishlist this. And then I saw Bullet Hell, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, I think I'm good. I'll pass, actually. And, like, there are some decent ones. I've seen some that look kind of cool, but inevitably, it's just a genre that I don't really enjoy. It's not a genre that I'm interested in, and it's not really a genre that I seek out at all. I've played a few of them, and, well, I just thought they were whatever, you know? I didn't really see... I could see the appeal. I guess I just can't get the appeal in this, like, as in, like, I could see the appeal, but I don't get it in the same way that other people do, I guess. It's unfortunate, too, because it looks like when you are good at these games, they can be really fun. I would consider myself decent at them, but even when I'm decent, I still don't really find it that fun, so I don't know. It's a weird one, but it's just never been very interesting for me, so yeah, we're gonna stick it there. Now we have RPG. And this might be another one that's controversial, but I'm gonna stick it in worth a shot, but it's teetering on hit or miss. here's my thing with RPGs. The few that I have played are some of my favorite games of all time. Like, a lot of the Paper Mario series, Paper Mario 1, the Thousand Year Door remake, and especially Origami King. I fucking love that game. It's the best in the franchise, which is a hot take, I'm sure of that. Deltarune's fantastic, and Undertale's pretty great as well. Not amazing, you know, but it's still a great game. I think it's aged pretty damn well. And, of course, Omori, but, well, that game's great because of other reasons, not just the RPG elements. But the trap that the RPG genre falls into for me is that they are inevitably really long games. At average, your RPG might be like 30 to 60 hours. So when you start an RPG, you need to dedicate quite a bit of time to it, because otherwise, you're going to fall out of practice, and you're going to fall out of interest. And because of that, that's really, like, kept me away from most RPGs, for the simple reason that if the RPG doesn't immediately entrance me by the mechanics or the story, then I just won't play it. I just straight up will say, well, I'm not going to play it then. And Fire Emblem is, unfortunately, one of them that falls into that list. And I know what you're saying. Well, Vortex, doesn't that fall with every single video game genre? And not exactly, at least not for me, because even if the game doesn't entrance me immediately, I could still end up loving it in the end. I could think of two at the top of my head. Subnautica. The story didn't intrigue me at first, you know, when I saw the game, and the mechanics didn't also intrigue me when I saw the game either. But then I played it, and I fucking loved it. I adored it. I love Subnautica, and Subnautica 2 to an extent as well. Like, well, not by to an extent, like, as in they had that kind of same vibe to them, but both of those games I loved. Amnesia the Bunker. The story didn't intrigue me at first, neither did the mechanics, and for the first hour I wasn't intrigued at all. And then by the time I finished the game, I'm like, that was fucking awesome. We need more games like that. So even if the game doesn't immediately intrigue me, I can still, like, love them when I eventually play them, but it's hard to do that for RPGs because they're so long. And so inevitably, if I buy them, I'm gonna need to spend a lot of time with them, so I kind of have to be really interested in them by default, because if I'm not going to have the drive to play them. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Like, it's, like, at its best, it should be and take my money. But I just can't put it there, even when you have my attention, because usually, I don't play the majority of them, you know? And then inevitably, a lot of RPGs fall into the bad pacing issue, one of them being Mario and Luigi Brothership. The first half of that game is awfully paced, and so is the last half. The middle part is where the good stuff is, but the first and last half of that game are paced like shit. And I'm saying that as someone who liked Brothership at first, but I replayed that game, like, earlier last year, and yeah, oof. That game's got some rough edges that I definitely ignored at first. So, yeah, like, RPG, unfortunately a genre I wish I loved in the same way other people did, but I just cannot love it to the same extent that other people do. Still a very good genre, though. Like, there are some fantastic games. Like, make no mistake, but it's not going to be one that always entrances me. Not going to be one that I'm always in the seams to buy, or I'm itching to buy, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Now we have hack and slash. And this is an interesting one. This is a really interesting one, because on one hand, I haven't played a lot of hack and slash games, but the genre is just so appealing to me, and the games that I have played are just so fun that I'm really tempted to put it high, but I don't feel like I've played enough at the same time to truly put it in one of those high tiers. Yeah, I'll stick it in worth a shot, only because I haven't played enough to really put it in the high tiers. But the little that I have played about hack and slashes, like, oh man, hack and slashes is dopamine, the video game genre. Every time you play a hack and slash, you're going in there to rip and tear shit to shreds, and that is the whole appeal of that genre, and I fucking adore that. Hack and slashes will be some of the best sit back and relax games you will ever play. Okay, not like they're still intense games, but relax in the case that you really are just ripping and tearing your way through crowds and stuff, and it is just such a fun genre to get into. One that I definitely need to get into more. I'm gonna play Devil May Cry 5 soon, so that's gonna be my really big gateway into that genre. And until then, it's gonna unfortunately have to go here, but inevitably, when I do play more hack and slash games, I think that it is a genre that is gonna go very high. One that I might like put in the top tier over here, because it certainly has like the really big appeal factor. It just is missing the fact that I haven't played enough of it to really put in one of those top tiers. Maybe when I do, I will put it there, because I do think that just the gameplay of it is just so addicting that it could easily get up there. Gotta play more of it though. If you have any good hack and slash game recommendations that aren't Devil May Cry, I would recommend you to tell me them, because it's definitely a genre that I'm the most hungry to get into. That and another one, but we'll get into it later. But yeah. Now we have stealth. And you know, if you asked me this question of where I would put it like a year ago maybe, I would have put this in I'd Rather Drink Bleach. Stealth used to be my least favorite video game genre. But over time, I've played a good deal of stealth games. Accidentally, like, kind of, because I didn't really expect them to be stealth games. And I'll say this. It's not as terrible as I thought it was. I think I was just playing the wrong stealth games. It's hit or miss. I'm gonna put it in hit or miss. Now, look. I still don't love this genre, and I don't know if I ever will love this genre. But I can see, there's some good in the genre that I definitely ignored a year ago. Like, I've played a good deal of stealth games since then. I played Stray, which has some stealth elements, and that was the first time I played a game and I was like, damn, I kind of like the stealth elements here. I played Soma, which is a fully stealth game, and I thought it was amazing. It is a terrifying experience that had me on the edge of my seat, and I think the stealth mechanics actually enhanced it. And Amnesia the Bunker, if it counts, is probably my favorite stealth game of all time. I think the stealth in that game is fucking immaculate. The way that they execute it is just amazing. And Alien Isolation is apparently another really good one that I haven't played yet, but with Alien Isolation 2 coming out soon, I think I might get into it. So it's a genre that I can see more of the appeal now. I think I definitely just played some of the bad ones that don't really utilize the stealth thing all too well, because I gotta say, I kind of get excited when I see a stealth section now, because they're always kind of like puzzles about how you want to go about maneuvering around the enemy and stuff, and I'm a lot more interested in it now. I still am not like overly like over the moon about it, but I don't hate it anymore. I actually like, I don't mind it now. It's a pretty good genre, I will say that. And when I play more stealth games, maybe it'll go up to worth a shot. I doubt it will get into these top 2 tiers, but I like it now. Like, playing the good stealth games, if you could say that, I guess. I like it now. I like what the genre brings, and dare I say I want to see more of it. More good stealth, not like some of the other ones that we have. More like really good stealth. Like, Frictional Games, with their new game Ontos coming out, if that game has stealth, that's kind of going to be another really good stealth game, because they already have knocked it out the park with the 2 other ones, and Dark Descent also has stealth. I heard that one knocks it out the park as well, so those guys are kind of the forefront of that genre for me. But yeah, stealth games, much better than I like. I like them a lot more now than I used to. It's a pretty good genre. So yeah, that's stealth. Now we have visual novels. And I'm gonna stick it in worth a shot. I need to play more visual novels. I really need to. I've not played enough of them, because the few that I have played have been amazing. Doki Doki Literature Club, one of my favorite fucking games of all time, but to be fair, that game's barely a visual novel at some points. Like, I need to play more really like visual novel games that have like choices that are like visual novels that don't turn into a fucking abomination by the end of it like DLC does. But I think it's a genre that has a lot of appeal to it. I think that here's the thing, actually, that's another reason why it's not an A. If the story doesn't grab me, then I won't play it. So it has the same problem that RPGs do, where visual novels are oftentimes very long games, and if the premise doesn't interest me, then I will not play them. If it does, I will play them. That rarely happens, though, which is, I think, why I haven't played enough of them, really. And I should play more of them, because it's one that I really need to get into in the future. That's another one. Same with hack and slash. These two are genres I need to get more into in the future, but I think just the overall hook of visual novels is what intrigues me, you know? I just find them to be very well-written games when they're done right, very enjoyable games. You get invested in the characters and the world that they create and all of that. It has a lot of potential, and the potential's probably there. I just haven't played the potential yet. So I think over time, I'll probably play more visual novels, and I'll be able to like put this in the top tiers because I really like the premise of what the genre can bring. And in the future, hopefully I'll be able to play more of them. Maybe like put some visual novels that I should play down into the comments, and I'll probably play them, unless they're like $60. Ugh, that would be terrible. All right, next up we got Battle Royale. And okay, I'm gonna stick it in hit or miss, but it teeters on meh, but I do think that there is some enjoyment to be had in this genre. Like, yes, a lot of it is trashy. It's a very oversaturated genre, at least before it used to be. Nowadays, not as terrible. But I do think that there is some enjoyment to be had with this genre. It's not completely worthless, but it's not amazing either. There are some bullshit in this genre. It has some of the some of the worst things you can have, and like some of the things that the video game industry should not be, like with microtransactions and other things as well. I can't. God damn it, I'm having a brain lag. But like, sometimes it represents the worst of what oversaturation and chasing trends. Those three things, really. Oversaturation, constantly chasing the trends, microtransactions. Sometimes battle royales will represent all three of those things. Represent some of the worst that the video game genre can bring. In the same way that, like, I guess mobile games can also do that. But I mean, if you like play them on and off, they're kind of fun. They're kind of fun. Like, they're not awful experiences. Like, Fortnite has fun occasionally. I haven't played the new seasons, and honestly, I'm not really too interested to. But if you play them on and off, they're fun. Like, they're not like a genre that is full of quality. But if you play one on and off, like, they can be somewhat enjoyable. They're just not really genres that have sticking power, and the wide majority of it is just like, it is peaks and valleys, really. I think we're overdue for a really good battle royale game, because I think the genre like has a really good premise that I think has just become so oversaturated. Now everyone is kind of scared to do that genre again, which is weird because arena shooters still thrive nowadays, and that genre was overdone to hell. I don't know why battle royales haven't really had that same fate. Well, I guess, okay, kind of, because Fall Guys, to an extent, but that game also goes on and off each year, but I think there's a lot of fun to be had with it. It's just, the quality is all over the place with this genre. You either get a pretty fun game or an absolute shitter that might be occasionally fun, but is a shitter nonetheless. So, yeah, that's what I think. Now we have Party. And, basically take what I said with Battle Royale, but I love party games a lot more. And it's strange too, because party games to an extent have the same issue that a Battle Royale has, but I would compare the issue that Party has more towards what Sandbox has, where the games will often not have sticking power, really. Like, party games are in that same boat where you'll play them on and off, but they won't really have that sticking power, you know? But even then, that still doesn't detract from my enjoyment of the genre. Same with how it doesn't detract with my enjoyment from Sandbox games. It does with Battle Royale, because there's some bullshit in that genre. It represents some of the worst of the video game industry sometimes, and like a few other factors. These two genres, I mean, don't really have it. But more focusing on party games, I mean, you have just some really fun party games like the Mario Party franchise, Lethal Company, Repo's one of my favorites. You even throw in like stuff like Among Us and Fall Guys in there. Like, these are fun. They're fun games. You play them with friends, and Left 4 Dead could maybe count as well, but I might be pushing it. Like, they're really fun games when you have friends and you're able to just get together on a call. Like, they are some of the funnest experiences that you can have with a video game. The issue, of course, is that they don't have staying power, so they can't really make it into the big leagues, for me at least, because like I'll most likely still buy a really good party game. It's just it wouldn't really stick around, I guess. It's not really one where I see it and I also go like super up in arms about, you know, because I'm like, oh well, I might forget about this game in like a month, but I'll still enjoy my time with it. So yeah, it's kind of in that same vein of Sandbox, but it doesn't detract my enjoyment of the genre and the games that it does bring. Oh, Peak is another one. I haven't played Peak, but it looks pretty fun. I mean, and people also say the genre is kind of oversaturated, and to an extent I can see, especially in the friend genre, where like, fuck, what genre would it be? I guess like, okay, well no, they're all kind of the same, never mind. Like, I guess more stuff like Lethal Company, Repo, like, Lethal Company, Repo, Content Warning, there's a few others. That, I think that part I could see it. But I don't think that the overall majority of it is oversaturated, because I feel like party games lend themselves well to there being so many of them. There's so many different options, and a lot of them are a lot more different than something like Battle Royales, where a lot of them feel the exact same, you know? So, I don't think it's that bad. I really don't. I don't think like it's very oversaturated at all, and I think friend slop is a very silly term for it. A term that has died down nonetheless. I've not heard a single person say that term in a while. But yeah, that's party games. Great games. Now we have horror. Fuck, man. Okay. It's gonna break my heart to do this, but I'm gonna have to stick it in hit or miss. It's unfortunate, really. I think out of all of the games on this list, like out of all the genres in this list, horror is by far the one with the most missed fucking potential out of all of them. The amount of shit that horror gets put through is insane. The amount of terrible games that are in that genre, like just some of the worst games you will ever play, is just, oh my god, it is awful. Because you have such big highs, like you have Soma, you have Amnesia the Bunker, you have Amori to an extent, you have Ultra Kill at points, a few other ones like Alien Isolation. I haven't played that one, but I heard it's a really good one. You have Doom 3, you have Dead Space, and I haven't played it yet, but you have also Amnesia the Dark Descent. There are some really quality, also both of the complex games, you have some really quality, good horror games that will genuinely scare you. And then you will just have some fucking bullshit that someone just put into a bowl, started, threw it into the oven, and they were like, yeah, that's good enough. Like, there is so much trash in this genre where if I wanted to list them all, we'd be here all day. It's so sad because the ones that do it well, do it so well, and then you just... then you just have the other ones that just ruin it and give this genre like a really bad name. It's unfortunate that it has to be that way. I wish I could put this genre higher, but I can't in good faith do that because there's so much bullshit in it. And it is the definition of hit or miss. You might get a really good horror game, or one that is not fun, is not memorable, and most importantly of all, is not scary, which is really the bare minimum for a horror game. That is the appeal of it. Like, depending on which genre you go to as well, like... there's disappointments in every single subgenre of it, except for one that we'll get to eventually. It's fucking unfortunate. I wish I could put it higher, but I cannot in good faith do that. Like, I can't in good faith do that. I think we really deserve a renaissance of some really good horror games, but I really doubt that's ever going to happen, unfortunately, because it's just... I feel like the nature of the genre doesn't really lend itself well to that. So... unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Or I don't think we're ever going to be in an age where the genre is not in this tier. Unfortunate, but it's kind of how the cookie crumbles. Like, yeah. So yeah, horror games. Wish I could put it higher, but I just can't in good faith do that, unfortunately. Now we have puzzle games, and we officially have our first entry in Take My Money. I fucking love puzzle games. Admittingly, I will say this. In recent times, there have been some real bad puzzle games, I will admit. But that does not take away my enjoyment of the genre. Like, if I hear puzzle, I'm like, okay, alright, where's the game page? I need to see the trailer for this. Because just the hook of puzzle games always interests me, and when you play a good puzzle game, it is some of the best fucking shit you will ever play in a video game. Like Portal 1 and 2, Superliminal, Lego Jurassic World, One Shot, and even games that have puzzle undertones to them like Stray or especially Outer Wilds. There is so much good in this genre, other ones that I can't list off the top of my head, but like, there is so much good shit in this genre. Some of my favorite games of all time. I love this genre no matter how terrible it can get at some points. And yes, like, I will admit, it can get very bad. Like, a bad puzzle game is one of the worst games you can play on this list, because puzzle games live or die by the developer. If you want to make a puzzle game, you need to be a very experienced developer, because you need to have a fine line between one, like a puzzle game that makes you use your brain, and you also need to find the mix between one that makes you use your brain, but not like ones that are downright impossible, you know? You have to find a good balance between that, and you also need to make sure you're doing something new for the genre, something unique for it, because puzzle games have so many different areas you can go in there, and unfortunately, a lot of the new age developers can't seem to get that. I think the most recent example is Subliminal, which is a terrible puzzle game. Like, even if we throw everything else about that game aside and we just talk about the puzzles, terrible puzzle game. Like, that is what the worst of this genre can have when it comes to how the puzzles can be designed. But the best of this genre and the hook of it overall just puts it in this tier for me. I cannot in good faith put this any lower. It is one of my favorite video game genres, simply just because when you have a good puzzle game, which usually is the average, you usually get a good puzzle game. When you get a good one, they will stick out like a golden thumb, and they are some of the best things you'll ever experience. I think Valve needs to step back into the chopping block and give us like a Portal 3, maybe make it like a prequel or something, because I think we deserve some really good puzzle games to the level of Portal and Superliminal and One Shot. We need really good puzzle games that go in that direction. Hopefully in the future, we'll get out of this drought that's kind of plagued the genre for like the last year or two. Because it hurts, because I love this genre so much, but I will admit there's been some bullshit the last few years. But hopefully you can get out of that drought. Even if it stays in that drought, I still think it would stay in this tier. Maybe one below, but I don't know. I adore puzzle games. I adore everything about them. Now we have Soulslike. And I said before that there was another video game genre that I was interested in getting into when I talked about hack and slash. This is that one. But take that, and I'm not nearly as interested in Soulslike. Take everything I said about being interested in the hack and slash genre, put that to Soulslike, but I have less motivation to play them. I've just never been interested in them. Here's the issue with Soulslike, is that a lot of the games, unfortunately, feel samey, in the sense that they don't feel unique from each other, especially visual-wise. Like, why does every single Souls-like game look the fucking same? Like, all the Dark Souls and, like, the Elden Rings, every From Software game, to an extent, like, they have different environments, sure, but they look the fucking same at the end of the day. And even other ones, like Lies of P, they do a few things differently, but it still ultimately looks just like the same as the rest of the genre does. So there's not a whole lot of uniqueness. Like, when I see like a Souls-like game, I'm like, oh, well, I mean, fuck, this could be from any Souls-like game, you know? Like, I don't know, it could be from like Elden Ring or like Dark Souls 3 or like, I don't know, like Lies of P or something. I don't know which game it could be from. Whereas if I say like a platform, like, oh yeah, that's from Pizza Tower, I know where that's from. You know, I think that is something that the genre could use more. Like, make like a Souls-like with like cartoony art style or something. Why can't we have that? Do all Souls-likes need to look the same? They don't have to. But even besides that, just the gameplay in general has never interested me. I am someone who can play a hard game if it's enjoyable, but the Souls-like games, like, they are the hardest games you will play. Like, they are the crap of the crop when it comes to difficulty. And so, that kills a lot of my motivation to play this genre, because they're long games and they're hard games, but they don't really look enjoyable hard, if that makes sense. With the exception of Elden Ring, because I will play Elden Ring. I'm putting that on my chopping block, because that game, not only does it have a lot of freedom with the open world and the different builds, but it looks a lot funner than the other Souls-like games that I've seen. And but other than that, like, the other ones, it just doesn't really interest me, the gameplay. The hardness oftentimes feels like bullshit, and there's not really any way around it other than just lock in. And call me a scaredy cat, but that doesn't really want me to get invested in the genre. Like, I know it just sounds like a skill issue, but and to an extent it kind of is, but it just, even if I did have the skill, I just don't know if I would be interested in the genre even then, because I am not someone that constantly wants to play difficult games. That's kind of another hit that this genre takes, you know? And, well, not like I could do that anyways, these are very long games, like, so it's not like I can constantly play Souls-like games, but that's why I just haven't really been able to get into the genre, you know? But I think as of recent times, if I really enjoy Elden Ring, then maybe I will finally get into the genre, because in all fairness, I haven't played, like, I've maybe played 1 or 2 Souls-like games. So that definitely does, like, you could say that makes my opinion a little invalid, because, like, oh, you only played 2 games? Yeah, get the fuck out of here, you know? And I think that's fair. But there's a reason why I've only played 2. The rest of them just don't really interest me. But in the future, if I like Elden Ring, I might double back and do the rest of the Dark Souls games. We'll see. And maybe this one will go into worth a shot, or even you have my attention. But for now, that's where it goes. Now we have Metroid-Vania. And yeah, you have my fucking attention. When you say this word in your video game, you have my attention. This is kind of a mixed bag for some people, because I know there's a lot of people that really do not like Metroidvanias, and that's because of the premise. Metroidvanias often are just games that throw you into this massive open world, well, not like open world literally, but this massive world. You're not really given a whole lot of directions, but you're given the basics and the basic tools to get to the places you need to go, and it's just like, go and figure shit out on your own, and you might encounter some abominations on the way. Like, that premise right there is already what hooks me to the genre. Like Metroid Prime, or to an extent Hollow Knight and Silksong, they kind of do that style, and Metroid Prime 2. I fucking love Metroid Prime 2. Those 4, for example, do that very well. And there are other ones that also do the Metroidvania style very well. Like, I think that, Mina the Hollower, I forgot. Mina the fucking... I don't know, the new game that was made by the Shovel Knight devs, that has some Metroidvania elements to it, and it looks pretty fun, I will say. I think that this genre is a really good idea and premise, and the games, for the most part, nail it out the park. A lot of people get turned off by this genre because they think it's like a very difficult genre, and I'm gonna be honest, I really think that it's Hollow Knight's fault that people think that. Because Metroidvanias aren't really hard. Like Metroid Prime, for example, like, I wouldn't consider that a difficult game. I just think that a few select games in the genre make people think that it's kind of like a Souls-like thing, and it's really not at all. And I can see some of the criticisms. Like, some people don't like it because they just don't like the style. I think that's fine. But I think that the idea of this genre is awesome, and I think the games are awesome, and when I hear this name, it always has my attention. It doesn't necessarily go on to take my money, because, well, that's only, like, the first part of it. There are some bad Metroidvanias out there that don't execute the concept the best. Those exist, okay? But the overwhelming majority of it just slaps. So I'm always interested when I hear this name attached to a game. So yeah. Ooh, now we have shooter games. Fuck yes! If I really put some thought into it, I honestly think that shooter games... Actually, no, yeah, I think that shooter is my favorite video game genre ever. And it really is just like, not only does the concept interest me the same way that puzzle does, maybe a little lesser because puzzle you can get a bit more wacky with it, but that, and it's basically more like, it's more consistent than puzzle games. Like, there are a lot more fantastic shooter games than there are fantastic puzzle games. Like, fuck, Ultra Kill, Dusk, the entirety of the Doom franchise, every single one of like, what, the 8 games there? The first 3 Halo games and Halo Reach. There's even some really good ones I haven't played, like Dead Space and Fear and Stalker. And even a few other ones, like I think I mentioned Dusk already. The other New Blood games, like a Medieval, and there are some other ones as well that do the style really well, like a few Gears of War games. I haven't played them yet, but they probably do it very well. And Half-Life 2, Black Mesa, to an extent, some of the other Half-Life games. Like, there is just so much quality in this genre. I feel like people take it for granted sometimes. When people hear shooter, they think that it's kind of like a trashy genre. And to an extent, it kind of is. Like, shooter is kind of the slasher of video games, where they're very trashy, as in you go in expecting to deliver some fucking carnage to the world that you're in, you know? That is the appeal of shooter games, in the same way that slashers, you're going in there to see people getting ripped the fuck apart, you know? But I just think that shooters, like, you're not about to tell me that shooting shit with a shotgun is not captivating to you, because that always captivates me, hearing shooter. Because oftentimes, this is going to sound like a weird praise, I love it because of how easy it is to play, how easy it is to pick up, because that just means when I play a shooter game, I'm locked into that bitch for the better of a week, or maybe even a few days. A lot of the shooters I played up to recently, I finished some of them in like a few days because they're just so much fun, you know? And I especially think, like, in nowadays, we're entering this renaissance age where shooters are taking a lot more risks now, and we're getting some really unique ones, like Ultra Kill as of recent. Has definitely shaken up that genre a little bit. Same with how Doom Eternal and Dark Ages did as well in the Doom franchise. A few other ones as well. Like, this genre is always constantly shaking up things, and I don't think I'm ever going to get bored of it. I just love shooter games. I don't really know what else there is to say, but there's just fantastic games all around. Very consistent genre, and I am always down to play a shooter game. So yeah, that is... If we were making a top 5, this would be number 1. So yeah, absolutely throwing my fucking money in their faces. Now we have sport games. We have our first entry, and I'd rather drink bleach. Look, in all fairness, maybe you could say I'm being a little unfair, because there were some good sports games for a few, like, for the first 10 years, like, in the 90s to the 2000s. Yeah, there were some good sports games. Madden 08, for example. That is one that always gets brought up as, like, the last good Madden game. But oh my god. The way that this genre has, like... What this genre has turned into is tragic. It is a travesty. Sports games are just, like... Like, okay, do I really need to explain why it's here? Like, you know why it's here. Sports games are the epitome of everything that's wrong with the video game genre. Oversaturation, overworking your devs, microtransactions, all to hell, and constantly chasing trends and never fucking trying anything new. Some of the good sports games that I do like are mostly Nintendo ones, like Wii Sports and, to an extent, Nintendo Switch Sports, and to an extent, Mario Tennis Aces. Those are what sports games should be! Like, unique sports games. The wide majority are stuff like FC, or, what is it, NBA? I think that's one of them. NBA, 2K, like, those games, or Madden, like, those are the overwhelming majority of sports games, and I always avoid them. I never want to touch a sports game when I see that name is attached to it, and it's just like every other one, like, that has come out. I just, no, I just never, no, like, just no. That's really all I'm gonna say. Just no. I don't like this genre at all. I think that we need like a grand reset of it, and we need to be getting some really creative shit, because I think, especially as of recent, sport games have really just become less and less popular. Like, I do not see many people playing a sports game at all. Usually people are like, oh man, I can't wait to go home and play that NBA, but I've not heard a single person say that in about 2 years. So we're getting to the point where the genre is just oversaturated to shit, and now, like, I don't see anyone talking about it anymore. We need, like, a grand reset of it, because this genre has been a travesty for the last 2 decades. My god. Terrible stuff. I think this might be the only one in here, but we'll see. There might be 1 or 2 more that ends up in there. Now we have racing game, and yeah, this is hit or miss. Mario Kart does the heavy lifting. Mario Kart's one of my favorite video game franchises. That does most of the heavy lifting. But, that's about it, really. I like some of the Forza games. I think Forza 3 is really good. I think Forza 4 is good, and Forza 5 is okay, and I didn't play Forza 6, and I don't want to because it looks like the same fucking game as 5 was, but there are some good games in here, but I just don't, I'm not really intrigued by most of it. Like, there are just a lot of racing games that just feel the same, look the same, ones that I'm not really interested in playing at all. So it's very hit or miss for me, where there might be a few that make it out the pond where I'm like, Kirby Air Riders is another one of them. That's also a really good racing game. Like, there would be a few of them where they do something wacky and different where I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. But the wide majority has the same problem that sports games do, where it feels like there's not a lot of originality sometimes, and they just kind of do the same things, and the games just bleed into each other. And it's unfortunate, because I think that, like, racing, like, that's an exciting video game genre, but it just doesn't really maximize that potential in the same way that other genres will. Nintendo definitely has, but not all companies. Look, yeah, I'm gonna stick in hit or miss. Now we have survival horror. And you might be saying, well, why is this one separated from horror? Because, I did bunch, like, there's a lot of horror subgenres, I bunched them all into one. Survival horror is the one that I don't think I can bunch up with, because I think that survival horror is very different from most horror games when it comes to the vibes and the mechanics and the gameplay. So because of that, I think it is different enough that I can separate it from the horror genre. And thank fucking god that I can, because you can actually have it in like a good tier that's not hit or miss. You always have my attention when you say survival horror. Now, I will admit, it's not in, like, the top tier here. It could be. It's not there for me, because some games will not execute this concept as better as others will. Like, Amnesia the Bunker, my favorite survival horror game, personally. That game is everything that a survival horror game should be. It is impeccable, and I've played a few Resident Evil games, and I really loved what I played there. And a few, maybe like 1 or 2 other ones I can't name off the top of my head that I've played. Silent Hill 2, I just remembered. Yeah, the remake of it, I played that, and I fucking loved it. But some, like it's always one where I'm not immediately going to be going into the take my money territory, because it's a very hard genre to get right, and not every one is going to do it well. And unlike puzzle games, where like I can let go of that suspicion, because I don't think, like, it's very hard to screw up puzzle games to a way where it's not fun to play, or like it's not, or like it's like hard to get past, because puzzle games will always have a solution, you know? But survival horror is like very hard to get right, because oftentimes when you have a bad survival horror game, it can almost be worse than a bad puzzle game, because it's such a tightly, the genre is built on tightly packed gameplay. So if you're stuck on something, there's not really much you can do, you know? Like, unlike puzzle games where there's always a solution, there's not much you can do in a survival horror game when you're in a tight situation, because of how tight the gameplay of those games are, you know? Like Signalis, for example, like, I dropped the game because of that combat. Like, there are probably moments where you can get soft locked in that game because you don't have any ammo. That's kind of the trap that some survival horror games go into, where they lean a bit too much into that. But there is so much quality that I can somewhat look past it, and you'll still have my attention regardless. But there are a few where I'm skeptical, you know? But I do think that as a concept, I love what the genre goes for. I think it easily has some of the scariest horror games in the market. And yeah, like, they're also really fun games to speedrun. I almost forgot about that, but they're really fun to speedrun. Like, Amnesia the Bunker, the speedruns for that game they're really fucking cool. But yeah, like, survival horror, definitely one that I'm going to get into more in the future, but for now, it's gonna stay there. Now we have rhythm games, and worth a shot, worth a shot. I like some rhythm games, and I don't like some rhythm games. That's how it goes. I like Identifier Nice. I like Hi-Fi Rush. I think that one's great. I like what was, fuck, there was one more. What was it? Fuck, I think it was Rhythm Haven. I think it was Rhythm Haven. I can't remember it, but I think it was that one. Like, there are some good games in here, and there are ones that I'm not as interested in, you know? Like, I think that rhythm games work the best when they go full wacky burger with it, like when they just go wacky as fuck with the concept, and they do some really cool and interesting stuff with the world, especially like Hi-Fi Rush does. Like, I have not talked about that game, but I can sing the praises of it. That game is like a fantastic game. The way it mixes the world building and the rhythm, like, oh my god, fucking immaculate. I think when they go into that direction, it's great. Oftentimes, it's really just going to be like just a rhythm game where you have to follow the beat, you have to press your keyboard to the thing or whatever, and they're just not really that interesting to me. Adultphase is the only one that really did that right, but I'm not a fan of Osu, for example. Like, those types of rhythm games don't interest me at all. I like it when they go into a more complete direction with it, where it's not just a rhythm game, it's a rhythm game, but there's other stuff happening as well, just like Hi-Fi Rush. I think we need more rhythm games like that. And maybe we will eventually have more rhythm games like that, because I think there's been a resurgence in rhythm games these past few years. There's been a lot of more new ones coming out that have been really popular. I think Rhythm Haven was one of them, and I do know Hi-Fi Rush was especially one of them, and there's a new Rhythm Haven game coming out soon, so maybe there will be some more games like Hi-Fi Rush where they go into a more different direction with it, but the wide majority of it is, it's whatever. It's still worth a shot, though, because I like the general concept of rhythm games. It's not going to go in hit or miss. Like, there's more quality in here, consistent quality, and I'm more interested in the genre than the ones in hit or miss, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Good genre, good genre. Now we have survival, and once again, like, oh, well, what makes, like, survival horror separate from survival? Once again, I think that both of them have their completely different vibes, and to an extent mechanics. Like, I think those are just different vibes and mechanics altogether. So I separated the two. And this is another one I'm sticking worth a shot. Survival, the ones that I have played, the really good ones, Subnautica, Minecraft, Subnautica 2, a few other ones maybe, have been really good. Here's the thing, though. The thing is that I think that a lot of them go into the unfortunate trap that some other survival games go into, where they just overcomplicate the shit out of everything, and it's like, okay, bro. Ark is the worst offender of this. I tried playing Ark. I just could not get into it in the slightest. It's too much. It is just too much. I think Subnautica, it kind of does it, but it's a bit more controlled. You like add new things as you go into the game overall, so it feels less overwhelming. But survival is just overstimulation in a bad way. It's like, what the fuck? There are so many things I could do here. What am I supposed to do? Like that kind of stuff, you know? I think it's better when it's a bit more focused, kind of like Subnautica. And I do think that as for the overcomplicated part, especially in the survival craft genre, like, controversially, I am not the biggest Terraria fan. And that's because I think there's a lot of places in that game where it's really overcomplicated to do shit, mostly in the crafting. I've seen some Terraria recipes, and holy shit, dude. It's terrible, like, oh my god. Like, I think this genre has very high potential, but the majority that I've played, no, like there's quite a bit in the genre that I'm just not interested at all in, and no, I won't like, and ones that I just cannot get into. But the ones that I can get into, like Subnautica, those are the ones that really reign supreme for me, and I'm just like, why can't we have more like games in this genre that are like this, you know? And we just don't get them. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why we don't have more survival games like Subnautica. Because I'm running myself in circles, but I'm sure you get what the point is. I want to love this genre, but I just cannot, because when I hear this, I'm always like, okay, well, is this going to be like really overcomplicated, or Like, where is this gonna go, you know? And a lot of survival games are also, like, online focused. That's another thing, which I'm also not a huge fan of. I like my single player games. So, yeah, like, a very mixed bag of a genre, but I do think that there's more... I like it, like, enough to not... for it to not land in hit or miss, but, yeah, it'll stick there. Now we have simulation, and... meh. I really just love Power Wash. Power Wash is the only reason why I don't think this is an I'd rather drink bleach, because the majority of simulation, like... it just doesn't really interest me. Like, vehicle simulation, like, house simulation, or like The Sims, I think SimCity, like, would that count? I think that's like one of them. Like, Tomodachi Life, I think that's also somewhat of like a simulation, but I don't know if those really count. Like, those Power Wash Simulator, like, other than those, like, few, I just don't care for the majority of the genre. Like, I don't care for it at all, I'm not gonna lie. I think there's some merit, there's some cool parts to it, like, okay, Cooking Simulator, for example, like, when it goes into, like, the wacky burger territory, it's kind of fun, but I don't know, the majority of it just doesn't interest me at all, and the ones that do are some of the strangest ones. Like, out of all of them, Power Wash Simulator is the one that interests me the most. I've played a few simulation games, and it's just like, I don't know, it's never excited me as a genre, and, like, I really am teetering on putting it in I'd rather drink bleach, but I do think that there's a few games in there that I like that somewhat push it out, but it is fucking close there. So, yeah, I don't know, like, not the hugest fan of that genre. I probably should be, but I'm just not. Now we have point and click. Okay, never mind. This, okay, yeah, no. This one definitely goes in I'd rather drink bleach. I'm sorry, like, I just don't. I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. There's some coolness you can do with it. There's some merit to be had, but fuck, man. The majority of the genre is just so boring. I am just bored to sleep by most point-and-click games, and I don't even find the point-and-click thing to be that cool of a concept, you know? If anything, it makes a lot of the point-and-click games worse, and, you know, this also covers, like, all the classic FNAF games. And I really just like FNAF 4 out of most of the classic FNAF games. That is the only one that I really like. So even in that point, like, even in that point, funny little phrase right there, like, even in that section, I still wouldn't put it above meh. Like, I hear the genre and I mostly avoid it. I mostly avoid point and click. Like when I see point and click, I'm like, oh, well, I don't know about this game anymore, you know? Like, I don't like this genre, period. I've played a few point-and-click games. I've tried playing a few other of one of them that I haven't finished, and I just cannot get into them. They just bore me. They don't interest me. Maybe I'm being a little unfair, but that's just how I feel. I don't like them at all. So yeah, we're gonna put them there. Maybe if I played more, or I was more, like, I guess, intrigued in, like, the genre. Like, if the point-and-click thing grabbed me more, would I enjoy the genre more? Even then, I probably would still put it in meh if, like, I could get past the point-and-click part, but I don't know. Okay, no, before we move on, the one point-and-click game that is fucking amazing is At Dead of Night. At Dead of Night is immaculate. That game fucking rules. That's the only one, though. I don't love a single other game in the genre except for that one, and I don't even love FNAF 4, really. So, yeah. We're gonna leave it there. Now we have action-adventure, and fuck yes, take my money. Throw the money. Put it in a goddamn shredder. I don't care if the game sucks, I'm buying it anyway. This is a genre that I don't think a lot of people realize how great it is until you really look at the catalog. Like, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, to an extent, you can even put Grand Theft Auto in there. Action-adventure covers a very wide palette when it comes there, and I'm also not, I haven't even mentioned, like, a lot of the other ones. Like, I think Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotei, I think those count to an extent. Maybe Death Stranding or Death Stranding 2. There is, like, I can't list most off the top of my head, but I did, like, because before I did this video, I read the list on, some games that are in this genre, and, like, go search up a list of action-adventure games, and you will see just how much quality shit there is in this genre. And even if we move past how great the games are, I'm just always interested in these ones because they often focus on adventure, somewhat narrative-driven games with a semi-open world where there's a fuck ton of action that is usually really like clean and solid. There are some action adventure games where the action isn't good, but most of the time that's the appeal. You get some kick-ass action with a really kick-ass story and a nice adventure to top it all off, where it really does feel like you're going on a journey and you're progressing as you go throughout the game. That's the appeal of the genre, and I love that appeal. It always gets me excited, and it just makes it better that a lot of the games in this genre fucking rule, man. Like, oh yes. Like, to be fair, it's probably on the lower end between these two, but I still adore it. I still adore this genre. Easily and take my money. I'll throw my money. I'll do everything with my money. I'll do anything for it. Now we have MMO, and yeah, okay. Yeah, No, I'll put it there. I'd rather drink bleach. I don't like MMOs at all. In all fairness, I played one or two of them, just like Soulslike, but MMOs interest me even less. I just don't like MMOs in general. And once again, they encapsulate some of the worst of the video game genre, where some MMOs, like, you need a fucking subscription to play it. And it's like, what? And a lot of them are just really over bloated. That's another problem, is MMOs, there is such a thing where there's too much video game, and I think MMOs encapsulate that perfectly. There is too much fucking video game in a lot of the MMOs that I did play, and there was too much of it. I'm like, I just can't get into this. I just can't. I tried playing World of Warcraft, and not only is that game really shittily optimized because it made my PC hot as balls, but there's just so much stuff there. I'm like, where the fuck do I even start? You know, I tried, and then I'm like, well, like, I tried starting, and I didn't enjoy it. I'm like, this feels so slow. I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And that's just the problem, that the MMOs that I have played, and I'm sure the MMOs that I haven't played, they all fall into that same little crevice of an issue. And even then, if we go past that, I don't even think, like, the appeal of the genre is there for me. Like, the tagline doesn't interest me either. The whole gameplay of MMO games don't interest me either. Like, it's a genre that doesn't interest me at all. Like, no, I'd rather drink fucking bleach. I'd rather kiss revolvers twice. Because you know, your body loses consciousness like a few seconds after you're beheaded, so I'm gonna take another revolver shot in that time, you know? Like, I'd rather do that than play another MMO. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but I'm sure what you mean. I'm sure you see what I mean by that. I was also gonna include MOBAs there, but I did not know that MOBAs and MMOs were different. I honestly thought they were somewhat of the same, so yeah, MOBAs are actually, I bunched them up with the next one we're gonna be talking about, so there's that. And the next one we're gonna talk about is strategy. And this is gonna be meh. It's teetering, but I think that there's at least some intrigue to be had with strategy games. But the wide majority of it is top-down strategy games. That is most of the genre, and that just bores me to hell. It really does. And I think strategy is at its best when it's not the main focus of the game. Strategy is at its best when it's subtext in the game, kind of. Like, a lot of survival horror will have a lot of strategy elements baked into it where you really need to think, okay, what is the correct decision to do here? That is when strategy is at its best, but strategy-focused games have always bored me. They've never really interested me. I see a strategy-focused game and I'm like, meh, I guess, like, it's whatever. They don't really, like, grab me either, and oftentimes, like, there's not even a really good story to hook on there, so there's not really a reason to play if I don't like the gameplay either. Like, it's just a genre that doesn't interest me at all. Like, okay, like the games at least, but I think there's some intrigue to be had with the idea of strategy, but the genre, not as much. Now we have mystery. And I'm gonna cheat a little bit here because mystery usually means like detective games where you need to uncover a truth and all of that. But mystery, like, for me, the genre also encapsulates games that have a mystery at the start that you slowly unravel as you get further in the game. So that would be games like Outer Wilds, One Shot, Omori, to an extent Superliminal, games like those. And so, if we look at the genre from that point of view, it's gonna go and you have my attention. And you could say you can say that I'm kind of cheating a little bit there, because the genre is mostly like detective. Like, that is the main like thing of the genre, is that they're detective games. But for me, I think that mystery games, they have their own, like, mystery games in the sense of Outer Wilds and Omori should at least have their own genre, or at least be bunched up in this genre, because I always usually do that. Like, mystery, when I think of a mystery game, I think of something like that. I think of something like Outer Wilds, or especially Omori. That's usually what I think of when I think of mystery. And so if we, and like I said, if we look at it from that end, it has my attention, absolutely. And even if we go to like the detective side of things, I still think that part of the genre is pretty solid. I like a good detective game. Return of Obra Dinn, for example. Very, very good detective puzzle game. You know? But I think what I just talked about there, that is the main appeal of the mystery genre for me, is I love playing a game where you have a mystery that is not spelled out to you, that over time, the game either pieces it together or you need to piece it together. And it is always fun to go on that journey, especially when it's a game with characters I'm really interested in, like Omori. So yeah, I think it's in that tier if we look at it from that lens. So yeah, mystery genre, like, you can say I'm cheating, but that's how I see it. That's how I've always seen it. It's gonna go there. Now we have fighting games, and this is gonna be the last one on the list, and unfortunately we're not gonna go off with a bang, but it's gonna go in worth a shot. I was playing with putting it in hit or miss, but I do think that fighting games, like, there is a lot of fun to be had here. You know, you have Mortal Kombat, you have Street Fighter. It's a fun genre that I'm just not very interested to play most of the time, because they're just fighting games, really. Like, that's really all there is. There's not as much meat to the bone, you know, like as most other fighting games, and I don't know, I don't play a lot of them for that reason. But the few that I have played, mostly Street Fighter, mostly Mortal Kombat, those games really interest me, and I really like them a lot. Especially Street Fighter 6. I think that's my favorite fighting game, but you know, the other majority of it just like feels kind of like samey, or just not as intriguing as those other ones. It doesn't really have my attention most of the time, so I think Worth a Shot's the perfect place for it. It's a fun put down, and maybe and like, it's fun, like, pick up, put down, and maybe pick up again in like a month or two, you know? That is really the that is really how I see that genre, you know? It's fast food to an extent, but yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, it's good. Not an amazing genre, but it's good for me. And that is going to be the final tier list. And looking at this, I agree with all of it. I don't think I would change any of this. So yeah, that is my tier list. Let me know if you disagreed strongly with any of my takes. If you agree with this tier list, and if you want to make your own, go into the description. I posted the template in there. And yeah, this was pretty fun, talking about more video game genres. Like I said, I think this is a cool concept, and I wish more people would do it. But yeah, there's that's the tier list. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this special Let's Talk episode, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.